All right, let's jump right in. We're kicking off a new series here, and it's all about a real-world leadership crisis inside an organization called the Riverside Academy Trust. We meet our main character, Janita Okoro, who's just 3 months into a new strategy role. And just as she's finding her feet, bam, an email lands. It's a formal improvement notice from the regulator. You know, for a new leader, this is pretty much the ultimate test. So in the middle of this chaos, Janita writes this single sentence. And honestly, this is the key to understanding everything that's about to unfold. She immediately sees this isn't one big mess, but two completely separate problems: a compliance problem and a change problem. Her big insight? Confusing the quick fix with the real long-term solution is a recipe for absolute disaster. So picture this. That formal notice lands. Now, for most people, the first reaction is probably panic, right? A mad dash to start writing a response. But Janita, she's different. Her first move isn't to start drafting a reply. Instead, she opens a blank document and just types what the notice says versus what the notice means. See, she's not interested in fighting with the regulator. She's focused on figuring out why the regulator was right. And this just lays it out perfectly. The compliance problem, that's the immediate fire you have to put out. It's about taking the boxes, getting the right paperwork in, and just making the formal notice go away. But the change problem, that's the real beast. That's about digging into the foundations. It's about fixing the culture, the systems, the behaviors that let things get this bad in the first place. Because you can't just tick box your way out of a broken culture. So Janita gets it. To solve the real issue here, that change problem, just wanting to do better isn't going to cut it. She needs a proper diagnostic approach. So she turns to these established theories, not as a rigid step-by-step plan, but more like a powerful lens, a way to see what's actually going on beneath the surface. And the tool she grabs is a classic, Kotter's 8-step change model. Now, most leaders use this like a recipe for starting a change, but what Janita does is way smarter. She uses it as a diagnostic tool, like a doctor checking the vital signs of a change process that's already sick. And man, her diagnosis it's brutal. What she finds is that this whole change effort is basically broken from the start. Sure, they told everyone about the notice, but nobody feels any real urgency. There's a working group on paper, but the key people aren't actually on board. There's no vision, no plan to build momentum, and zero mechanism to make any of it stick. The whole thing is a house of cards. Okay, so a good diagnosis is one thing, right? But now comes the really messy part: people. Janita has to navigate the politics, the personalities, starting with her CEO, Colin Hargreaves, and a working group that's, well, let's just say they're not all on the same page. And this table from her meeting with the CEO, it tells you everything you need to know about him. See, he's a transactional guy. The logical, easy-to-explain fixes, accepted, no problem. But her third recommendation, the hard part, the political work of getting people genuinely on board, nope, he shuts it down. Too messy, too risky. So Janita knows, right then and there, she's working around him on this one. And check this out. This is her read on the two key players in that group. You've got Margaret, who's all in, super enthusiastic, but doesn't really get what needs to be done. High desire, low knowledge. Then you've got Graham. He knows exactly what needs to happen, but he just doesn't seem to care. High knowledge, low desire. You can't treat these two the same way. A one-size-fits-all approach is just doomed to fail. All right, now the story takes a really interesting turn. We're going to zoom in on Janita's main ally, a guy named Kapoor. He's thoughtful, he's trusted, he prepares like crazy for his first big network meeting. And on the surface, it looks like a success. But it's what happens after the meeting, when the room is empty, that becomes the absolute turning point for this entire story. So to really get what's going on in Dev's head, we need to bring in one more framework. It's called ADKAR. Now, if Kotter is about the whole organization, ADKAR is all about the individual. It's the personal journey each and every person has to go on for a change to actually stick. You got to move through all 5 of these stages. In this is the aha moment. Dev's sitting there in the empty room, and he starts running his own meeting through the ADKAR filter. Did he create awareness? Yep, he nailed that. Check. But desire? He realizes he just assumed they wanted this. He never actually did the work to build their desire. And knowledge? Well, kinda. He gave them org charts, not the practical how-to. Ability and reinforcement? Not even on the radar. It's a huge, crushing realization. And it all boils down to this incredible, stark insight he has. His meeting was perfectly professional. It was a great knowledge briefing. The only problem? He gave it to a room full of people who weren't at the knowledge stage. They needed their desire built. They needed reinforcement. He gave them the what when they desperately needed the why and the how. So you see how this all connects. Dev's personal light bulb moment plugs right back into the massive strategic problem Janita is wrestling with. It's not enough for one person to have an epiphany. Now they know what went wrong. The real question is, what do they do about it? And this slide just lays it all out so clearly. Look at Margaret on one side. She's got the awareness, she's got the desire, she's just missing the how-to, the knowledge. Simple. But the rest of the network, they're way behind. Their problem is a massive lack of desire and reinforcement. So just throwing more information at them, which is exactly what Margaret needs, would be a complete disaster. It's the wrong medicine for the wrong illness. And that's where we're going to leave it. Dev knows what he did wrong. He knows what the network really needs now isn't another PowerPoint. It's something that builds genuine motivation and provides a structure to make it all stick. He's got 2 weeks until his next check-in with Janita. So the big question is, how on earth does he do it? We'll dig into that in the next part.